Okay. A very good morning, colleagues. Is this on? Am I audible? A very good morning, colleagues, and thank you for joining us this morning. Welcome to our media briefing as the NatJoints on our state of readiness to police the 2024 National and Provincial elections. With us this morning is the co-chair of the NatJoints, Lieutenant General Tebello Musikidi. You also know her as the Deputy National Commissioner responsible for policing. We also have the Divisional Commissioner responsible for visible policing and operations in the SAPS, Lieutenant General Mamuteti. We are going to be joined by the SANDF later on. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hand over to the co-chair of the NatJoints, Lieutenant General Tebello Musikidi, to brief you.
Thank you very much, Brigadier Mate. A very good morning to the members of the media. Good morning to South Africans. Today marks exactly 10 days before South Africans exercise their democratic right to vote. As a national joint operational and intelligence structure, commonly known as abbreviated NatJoints, which is led by South African Police Service, the South African National Defence Force, and the State Security Agency as co-chairs, we are confident that measures that have been put in place are sufficient to ensure that the country's upcoming general elections proceed without any incidents of crime or disruptions. Having conducted a national security assessment with key role players in the justice, crime prevention, and security cluster, we are satisfied with the operational plan that is currently being implemented and can assure South Africans that a conducive environment for a peaceful elections have been prepared. While measures have been put in place, the ultimate responsibility of a safe and secure election lies with each one of us. It is a partnership that is required to create harmony, respect for self and others, even as we make our way to the polls and back to our respective homes. The National Priority Committee, comprising of various government departments and co-chaired by IEC, the South African Police Service, SANDF, the State Security, Agency visited each province to assess their state of readiness. The work done with the respective provincial commissioners at the HEM confirms that indeed all provinces are ready and have put measures in place to prevent and combat incidents of violence and criminality before, during, and post-elections. It is worth noting that training of law enforcement agencies on Electoral Act and other legislations in support of the 2024 national and provincial government elections have been conducted. Ladies and gentlemen, the planning for safety and security of the general elections has been finalized. The operational phase will commence from Wednesday, the 22nd of May, with the activation of the NatJoints Coordination Center until the 9th of June, or any time as the intelligence will advise. The center has operated in various locations in the past. During the COVID-19, we operated from the Reserve Bank of South Africa and other locations before and after the closure of the 2019 COVID-19 Operational Command Center at the Reserve Bank. This center, which is equipped with the state-of-the-art modern technology, will be officially opened by the JCPS ministers on Friday, the 24th of May 2024, the details of which will be communicated accordingly. The NatJoints Coordination Center is opening around the clock, is operating around the clock, closely monitoring the situation in the country through proactive identification of threats and vulnerabilities. The center serves as a central point of contact for coordination of information and the reporting of the incidents to ensure a swift, prompt, and coordinated response. This is where all operations in relation to major events in the country, including the upcoming NPE, will be coordinated from. The National Coordination Center, or NCC, is mirrored at provincial level through the NatJoints, activated through the provincial joints operational centers. The NatJoints and NatJoints 5-pillar approach is being implemented to ensure that all areas of concern are covered. That includes intelligence gathering, analysis and coordination, proactive approach, which includes high visibility to police to prevent and respond to crime eventualities. Combat approach through law enforcement in response to any violation of the law through deployment of specialized units supported by the South African National Defence Force should the need arise. Reactive approach through detection and case management. And the fifth and the last phase will be the awareness and information sharing that has been and will be led by GCIS, the IEC, the NatJoints and other government departments in keeping interest parties and communities at home and abroad updated through messaging that will enhance the safety and security of everyone in the country. The media will continuously be updated on a daily basis during the election period by NatJoints. Working through the Operational Intelligence Coordination Committee, OICC, we have identified the number of high-risk voting stations and potentially volatile areas that are being monitored on an ongoing basis. Deployments are subsequently proportional to the level of risk identified through intensified operations informed by thorough analysis and intelligence-based reports. Threats identified, such as community protests, are already being attended to, and those that are found to be in contravention of the law are being dealt with. Our public order policing units are on the ground and are ready to prevent and combat any such incidents. We are aware of social media posts calling for shutdown by a group of truck drivers this week. As previously communicated, there will be zero tolerance towards threats, intimidation, and closure of our roads. Law enforcement agencies are on high alert to ensure there are no criminal activities and that law-abiding citizens are not inconvenienced in any way. We call on the road freight industry workers to communicate their grievances within the confines of the law. We reiterate our stance that no lawlessness and any form of criminality will be tolerated. We are in the first phase of our election plan. To this end, the NatJoints is satisfied that from a security point of view, the screening of voter registration, policing of gatherings, celebrations and demonstrations, intensifying stabilization at hotspots areas across the country, enhancing visibility and ensuring crime prevention around election-related matters is being executed within precision. The second phase of the election, which is the period from the 27th up until the announcement of the results, will see the static deployments at voting stations, escorting of voting material, escorting of IEC officials and any officials of interest, securing of election warehouses, transportation of voting material, and enforcement of Electoral Act. During the voting days, the 27th to the 29th, the role of law enforcement agencies is therefore to maintain law and order, provide escort to voting stations and warehouses, accompany mobile voting stations, ensure no firearms and dangerous weapons are allowed at voting stations, assist presiding officers by removing anyone who fails to comply with rules that infringe on the rights of voters within the voting station, assist the presiding officers to ensure no political activities take place within the boundaries of the voting stations, assist the presiding officer to remove any person behaving in an inappropriate and undesirable manner from the voting station, ensure that those who have been banned from the voting station for an unbecoming behavior do not attempt to enter the voting station. They will accompany the presiding officers to deliver ballot boxes and other election security material to the counting stations, ensure the voting stations and surroundings are secured by assisting presiding officers with the monitoring of the boundaries of the voting station. Ensure that no person, either than a voter or person authorized to enter or remain within the boundaries of the voting stations, assist to ensure safety and security at voting stations until the counting and wrapping up procedures have been completed, assist the presiding officer in enforcing the Electoral Code of Conduct in respect of the following: undue influence, impersonation, intentional false statement, and infringement of secrecy. Actions has been taken by those who have found themselves on the wrong side of the law. To date, during the first and the second voter registration weekend, we have seen 50 cases which were reported with 45 persons arrested. Gauteng reported most arrests, which is 11, Gauteng alone, followed by Limpopo with 9 arrests, Northwest 8, and Mpumalanga 4. A breakdown of arrests per charges is as follows: 11 persons were arrested for public violence, 10 were arrested for contravening the Electoral Act, 9 were arrested for assault, 2 were arrested for malicious damage to property, and 13 were arrested for other election-related cases. During the period after the voter registration weekend, 23 cases were reported. We take this opportunity to remind our communities that the Constitution of our country provides that every citizen is free to make political choices, which include the right to participate in activities of or recruit members for a political party and to campaign for a political party or cause. With this being said, we caution communities not to vandalize, deface, and remove posters of political parties, as this constitute an offense. Anyone found to be tampering with these posters or vandalizing them will be arrested. Such cases have since been reported and arrests have been made. For example, in Sasolburg in the Free State, a 64-year-old woman was seen in a video tampering with a poster. She was arrested and charged for contravention of Electoral Act 73 of 1998, which prohibits the unlawful removal and defacing of posters published by a registered party. I must say, with number of engagements that we had on our previous elections, we have since seen the decline, which confirms the maturity of our residents and society in this type of acts. The woman has since been released on warning. In Gauteng, a 70-year-old man who was also seen on a video illegally removing a posters was also arrested. Investigations are continuing to trace those behind the removal of posters in areas where they have been reported. The police are investigating 2 cases of break-in in IEC offices in Gauteng and Caledon in the Western Cape. The Houghton case, where a laptop has been stolen, the investigation is still underway. In the Western Cape, 7 suspects were arrested in Caledon after they broke into the IEC offices and stole a banner and a projector. All 7 suspects have appeared in court and were remanded in custody. In relation to the last phase of the election plan, which is the period after election results have been officially announced, plans are already in place to police the celebrations and gatherings. Preparations for inauguration of the president are also in full swing. These celebrations and gatherings will be policed through both SASRIA and Gatherings Acts. With this said, it is clear from our side that no lawlessness and any form of violence and criminality will be tolerated by law enforcement. The long arm of the law will not be selective, nor will it be to those who attempt to disrupt the smooth running of our elections. We urge all South Africans from all walks of life to conduct themselves accordingly and to embrace their democratic rights. We assure you all that maximum deployments and resources have been mobilized to ensure a successful execution of this operational plan. Command and control measures are in place. The South African Police Service, as a lead department, will lead operations and will be supported by the members in the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster, such as the National Defence Force, the Department of Home Affairs, the Metro Police Departments, and other supporting departments. Our main priority is to ensure a safe and secure elections and that voters exercise their democratic right without being intimidated, harassed, or threatened. It is important to highlight and ensure communities that normal crime prevention and policing operations will continue during the duration of the elections. One of our biggest threats at the moment is fake news. We strongly condemn the spreading of fake news, unverified information, rumors, or threats, as this seeks to cause panic and confusion, and in some instances, incite possible violence. We urge members of the public to fact check first before sharing anything on social media platforms. Those who are found to be sharing inflammatory messages and inciting violence will be charged accordingly. We therefore urge a prompt reporting of these incidents to ensure that law enforcement deals with such issues. One person has already appeared in Chatsworth Magistrate Court on charges of contravening the Riotous Assemblies Act 17 of 1956, which prohibit gatherings that could endanger public space or public peace. We are making a clarion call on political leaders to be responsible in the manner in which they communicate on public platform. We have noted an increase in number of service delivery related protests. To mitigate this, increased policing visibility through the deployment of the public order policing units have been made to potentially volatile areas to address large crowds. We will continue to work closely with key role players to monitor developments and to attend to them. I must reiterate that we all know that we have adopted in May 2023 what we call Operation Chanela. Those operations are continuing and they will continue even during this period to ensure that crime prevention in our areas continues without any disturbance. Law enforcement agencies are on the ground and will continue to apply fundamental policing principles guided by the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. Every law enforcement officer has a responsibility and an obligation to execute their mandate professionally, impartially, and with integrity, and to do so within the confines of the law of the country. Law enforcement officers are apolitical and will enforce the law without fear, favor, or prejudice. With this said, the message is clear. The NatJoints, with the help of law-abiding citizens, is ready to ensure the safety and security of the 2024 general elections. I thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant General Tebelo Musikidi, the co-chair of the NatJoints. Let me also take this opportunity to welcome, who has just joined us, Major General Sizani from the SANDF. He is a co-chair of the NatJoints. Let me also welcome a representative from the SSA, who has also joined us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's quite clear law enforcement officers, agencies are on the ground to attend to any eventuality, and we are ready to police the 2024 elections. I will now open the floor for questions. I'll take the first three. Remember to identify yourself in the media house that you represent. Let's start with Heidi. Thank you. Next question.
My name is Herman from Soweto. My question is almost similar to my colleague. I just wanted to know how many high-risk drinking stations have you identified and which provinces of concern, like she asked before.
The last one for this round. All right, we'll start off with General Musikidi to respond, and then we'll hand it over to General Sizani on behalf of the SANDF. General Musikidi.
You will assist me with questions in case I have not captured all. But on the first question of the provinces, which is a big concern, the country is a big concern for us, although we do have those provinces that previously had problems, so they will remain our focus areas. Not that this time around there is something on those provinces, but because of the past experiences, which when we develop the plan, we look at the previous, we'll also look at the current intelligence, the climate, the majority of our electorates, and we planned accordingly. So I don't want to downplay any of our 9 provinces to say this one is better than the other, but we do have different levels of our focus in those. On the same breath, to also answer the question on the number of identified high-risk voting stations, we have more than 650 of such, more than 650. But that number can change at any time, as and when we collect, as you have heard, that throughout all the 3 phases of our implementation of this plan, we do recognize the intelligence reports and we act accordingly. So the numbers can change, can be more or can be less as we are getting closer to the time. During my statement or the initial statement, I did indicated that there will be areas where we will feel that we need to be supported. But I need to reiterate, we are not a country at war to itself. We cannot at this stage confirm that we are going to deploy SANDF. We have a lot of law-abiding citizens, but we cannot also not think of the last question of the worst case scenario. If that is experienced, we will request the assistance of our colleagues at the South African National Defence Force, and we'll look at the areas where we can deploy them and relieve deployments at those areas to come and assist them domestically. Numbers, for security reasons, as it was said, I can't tell that I'm going to deploy 5 members, but be rest assured that our plan is looking at all possible scenarios. We have taken a drill exercise to look at any possible scenario, including natural disasters. We have our colleagues in the National Disaster Management, they are on high alert. The man-made disasters, we will respond accordingly. I said in the week that what happened in George, as and when we were preparing ourselves, taking different scenarios, was one good example to check how fit and our muscle in responding. And that incident was responded to professionally. All resources were there, including the communities that woke up and said, we want to assist. So we are sure that even this time, we will receive the same support as law enforcement, as different departments, to respond to any eventuality should it arises. Atlanta, I don't think I have
You've covered
any.
it. You've covered it, General. Thank you. We'll now take General Senzani from the SANDF.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Co-Chair. Once again, colleagues, I'm Major General Cesani, Joint Operations in the SANDF. You've asked a very important question in terms of the numbers, how many SANDF members will be deployed for the election. Colleagues, all I can reiterate here from the Co-Chair first is that we are not a country at war. We are a country that is having an enduring peace. SANDF has prepared and will be prepared to deploy as and when they are required by the police. I must mention that in terms of the support to IEC as part of this collective effort, SANDF have also prepared airframes, the helicopters to assist. Therefore, SANDF will be ready as and when it is required in support of the police. I thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. As you have heard it, we will not be giving out any numbers, but be rest assured that we are prepared and we have sufficient personnel on the ground to respond to any eventuality. Any more questions from the floor? Let's take three, and then online. Online, GCIS, do we have any questions online? Let me check first. Okay. All right, let's start off in the room, and then thereafter, in the third round, we'll take the online questions. Over to you.
Good morning.
Can you speak up? Okay, next question. Kelvin, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Calvin Zuba. I'm from the SABC. My question is to the South African Police Service. The City Press newspaper says there is a possible election violence. They say they have an intelligence threat analysis that has raised an alarm that the pending elections can be met by violence, intimidation, and even boycott in some parts of the country. My question is, if you have programs to train your personnel for crowd control, dispute resolutions, amongst other things.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Okay, I think General, we can respond to those two on the truck driver strike, on the role of private security, as well as the intelligence report. And then thereafter, we'll then take Dagalani on the online questions. General?
Thank you very much once more. There is a question from Raymond and Calvin. The possibility to call private security to assist if the need arises. Yes, we will engage them. We have worked with them. We have a partnership as the law enforcement to work with the private security companies. We call it E2 project that will continue. As I've indicated, that we will continue with our crime prevention operations if the need arises that we need to remove our crime prevention officials to man the elections. We will do so, and we will then get other agencies and other partners to cover other areas that we will have to reduce the numbers. On the question of the engagement with the truck drivers, yes, various departments that are relevant have done so. They are continuing to do so, and we shall continue to do so if required through the joint structures. On the last question, Kelvin, on the City Press, I will not get involved in what City Press is saying. I don't know what intelligence is that. All that I know is that the intelligence report are privy to the structures where they are presented if any other person does so, perhaps he has the right, he was given the right to do so, but I doubt, because the intelligence report are classified and cannot be with any other structure other than the South African Police Service. But we have our own plans in accordance with what was presented to the NatJoints. We are planning on what is presented to the NatJoints, not what is presented on the papers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, General, for clarifying that. As you've heard, colleagues, we don't engage on intelligence reports. They are confidential and they are classified. And as well as the important role that the private security play. Remember, we work with private security on a continuous basis. They are our force multipliers. They act as our eyes and our ears on the ground. In online questions, Takalani? You may proceed. Do we have?
Thank you for that. The question it's covered. It was on the issue of truck drivers. So I think it was covered from the floor. Thank you.
Okay, it's only one question. Any other question? I think on the issue of the truck drivers, General made it quite clear that we are not going to allow any lawlessness. We're not going to allow any intimidation, threats, and closure of any of our roads. Any more questions? If one, two, going once, twice. Well, thank you so much, colleagues. Last? Okay, do we have? Calvin? Okay, last. Yes, proceed.
How then it was in Natal said should be key battlegrounds because all political parties are ramping up their campaigns in those provinces. Are you going to add more resources on those provinces so that we can avoid maybe disruptions on elections?
Thank you, Calvin. In any other time of our operations, we all know that we have these 5 main provinces that are having high crime rates that are reported over and above the issues of elections. I have indicated earlier that we look at what is currently happening in the country, what intelligence reports we have, and we respond accordingly. So all 9 provinces with its own dynamics is going to be attended to. In terms of resources, we cannot overstretch some and underestimate others. So we look at those threat assessment that will come, the number of voting stations at each, and we deploy accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant General Tebelo Musikidi. Let me also thank the co-chair of the NatJoints, Major General Sizani. Let me also thank our Divisional Commissioner for Visible Policing and Operations for her presence here this morning, as well as the SSA representative. I choose not to mention the SSA representative by name for security reasons. Thank you so much, colleagues, and this calls the end of our media briefing for this morning. Thank you.